Hey, what is up everyone? This is Medified Vicky. I'm Sathvik, first year medical student at Bond University. In this video, we're just going to be having a look at accommodation and just looking at the intricacies between how you can get accommodation. Now, as mentioned in the previous video, this is probably the single most important aspect that you want to get sorted before you move, as all other paperwork that you need to do and legalities behind that depend on this. So let's just get straight into it. So firstly, use Google to find the websites and things that you want to use. And it kind of seems simple when I say it out like that, but for me, when I was doing this, I found quite hard to find all the websites that I need to go through. Now, obviously in the description, I've laid out a few websites, obviously more specific to Aussie and Gold Coast in particular, that you can go through in your own time. Do have a check, but watch the video first. So I'll show you how I found it. So for me, what I did was just literally just type in accommodation in Gold Coast, and you see that a lot of these are actually ads. So you want to scroll past the ads and then you get to your actual websites. Now, if you look at booking.com, Wolf, What If, Last Minute, TripAdvisor, these are all hotels. Now, you don't want to look at these because they don't do long-term stays. All do short-term stays, and obviously these ones are obviously going to be more expensive because they're hotels. So you got to scroll past that, and depending on where you're going, or if you're a student or whatever your situation is, it's going to be different. So for me, since I'm a student, I had to look through all of these. They were damn expensive, so I actually searched up for students. I added that in, and again I scrolled through. Now, to find the ones that are long-term, you're going to have to click on them. For example, here you can see this flatmates. Now, the thing is, you have to do a bit of research, and when you find websites that are for more long-term suited, just write them down on a note-taking app, example Apple Notes or Good Notes or Evernote or whatever, and make a list, make a checklist so that you can refer back to it later. So when you're making this checklist, don't go through each website and search for the areas and things, not yet, because you want to make a checklist so that you can go back to it. So once you made that checklist and you feel like you have a good handful of websites you want to go through, this forms a good basis, good foundation for you to build upon. Now, after you've done that, go to the first website. So for me, it was Flatmates. I went to flatmates.com.au, and then in the search bar, I just searched up the area. Here it says Gold Coast, but I went into the suburbs that are around Bond University, or you can even actually search up, they only want one thing, Bond University, and that comes up as well. So if you want to search for areas or rooms or listings that have set themselves up around Bond University and tagged themselves like that, they will show up like this. The problem is, the places or listings that aren't the people who put them up, they aren't aware of the universities and stuff, they won't tag them under Bond University. In those kinds of sense, in that kind of context, you're going to have to look around the suburbs that are around there, and obviously you find the suburbs through Google Maps and Apple Maps and whatnot, and you just search that, you go through this, whatever your maximum was. Mine was 250. Obviously bills included. I don't want to be stuck there sorting out electricity and water and internet and all of that. I didn't want that, and obviously I wanted something long term because my course is 4 years and 8 months. I went through accommodation type, so it could be any of these. You can take any of those depending on what you want. I don't think I did whole property. And I prefer my own room, and I didn't want anyone, because usually when you're using Flatmates, for example, it will say women only flats or women only accepting of. So I selected men, and obviously if you're female, you've selected woman. Couples as well, there's an option there. And I wanted a furnished room because I don't want to go and buy a whole lot of furniture because that's an extra cost and I don't have the time. Bathroom I didn't really mind at the time, and obviously the bedrooms as well, nothing. And the really important thing is property accepting of. You need to tick students if you're a student, because sometimes they do not give it to students and they won't list it specifically. And other keywords you can, if you have other requirements. For me it was a desk because I study. You click update and then it will, ta-da, there's nothing in the filters that I've checked. So the thing is, you go through these websites and you do this sort of thing, and when you do this, don't try and search once and leave it there, because what you want to do is you want to search in multiple different ways, because depending on what website it is, for example Flatmates, it actually showed different results for different devices that I was using it on. Even though I searched like approximately the same way, it showed different rooms. And I found this out actually because my brother was looking on it, I was looking on it, my mum was looking, and we all had we had a pool of results which are common, and then we had lots of other ones which we didn't get, which was quite unusual. And I think it can be quite confusing when you're doing it on your own. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. So I just took a quick pause and shut that curtain because that was kind of annoying me. So going to number 2, when we look at these websites and we find possible listings, be sure to contact them. And what I mean by that is that don't really worry about reaching out to people who have listed that they prefer like males or females, because you don't know when they're going to accept or respond to you. I literally reached out to the owner of this place, who actually posted on Locanto, which is another website like Flatmates, and they preferred female. But I wrote a message saying, hey look, I know I'm male, but you know, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't party, or anything like that. I keep myself clean and tidy. You know, just a nice simple message, you know, other background stuff as well on top of that. Just flick them a message like that will, yeah, like depending on your luck, they might respond, they might not, but in my case they did. And don't only just contact people who are just preferring whatever, unless they strictly say we only want this. But usually they can be a bit lenient depending on who you are as a person, obviously. But yeah, also don't rely on the people who just prefer your type. You know, if you feel like you really vibe with that kind of listing, don't get your hopes up for it. I know I did. I contacted about 30-ish kind of listings, and only 3 responded, and this house owner was one of them. So yeah. So moving to number 3, ask around for people that you know, for potential places or potential people that they know in the city that you're moving towards. So this can be like friends, family, etc., people like that. And ask them to reach out to people that they know or that have been to the place that you're going to. I know I did that in my case. I did have a safe option. We had someone who was living in Brisbane. We knew a couple of people living in Brisbane, and if I didn't have any way else to stay in Gold Coast, I would actually go there. But luckily I did find you know, these people here. Yeah, and the reason why I want you to reach out to, you know, your friends and family and them to theirs is because you don't know where crucial connections can pop up. Because if I hadn't reached out to you know, the people that I knew, I never would have found those connections in Brisbane, which, you know, we wouldn't have known. And I'm actually talking about that right now. I just remembered my dad's friend who also lives here. We wouldn't have you know, found her if, you know, I didn't, like, you know, reach out and talk to my dad and my dad didn't reach out. You know, like, there's a chain that does happen, and you seriously do not know. And it's actually, they not only will they help with accommodation, but they can also give you insights into what the city is like, you know, what you kind of need to do before you get there, all the really useful advice that you wouldn't really find on Google. So it's a very, very good place to even start from. You don't have to start from Google, you can actually just talk to people. But yeah, in my case, I did start with Google. Also, if Google doesn't give you any like results for websites or anything like that, that is also a very good place to start. So yeah, hope that was helpful, hope that was informative. If there's any suggestions, please leave them in the comments or get in touch with me on my socials. I will respond. So yeah, see you guys later.